Uruha Rushia. Perhaps the biggest and most publicized termination in Hololive's history was third-generation Uruha Rushia's termination on February 24, 2022, when Cover Corp released a notice of termination for a few reasons, including distributing false information, leaking confidential information, and causing reputational damage to the company. This all started back when a Discord notification appeared on Rushia's stream from the popular Japanese singer-songwriter Mafu Mafu, which was translated as, "Just finished the live broadcast and getting ready to go home, Michan." This not only caused an insane amount of backlash and concern against the two, but with fans digging further into their alleged connection, a Japanese tabloid by the name of Josei7 wrote that not only were the two married at one point, but also got divorced in a short period of time. While there were some rather funny reactions from the internet, Rushia's reputation would take a massive hit. Today, she streams under the persona Mike Neko, where she remains active. Hololive Taiwan controversy. In an attempt to branch out their audience reach to China, Cover Corp established a Chinese Hololive branch in 2019, known as Hololive China, being the first overseas branch that focused on mainland China, and at the time, it had decent success with two of their first-gen talents, Sivia and Spade Echo, each getting over 200,000 fans on Chinese streaming platform Bilibili. Things seemed like they would be fine, until on September 24, 2020, both Kiryu Koko and Akai Hato were reviewing their YouTube analytics on separate streams. When it came to Hato's stream, she acknowledged her Taiwanese viewers by noting how there are a lot of viewers from Taiwan. With Koko's stream, she simply showed her analytics that had Taiwan separated from China, which led to massive backlash from the Chinese community. To summarize the response, Cover Corp announced that the two talents would face a 3-week suspension, 3 days after the incident, stating that their actions violated our agreements with our counterparties, referring to their Bilibili partners. This would cause even more backlash, but this time from the international Hololive community. In the end, Cover Corp pulled out of China's market in December 2020 and increased their focus on their international fan base instead, resulting in all of their Hololive China talents forced to graduate early. Hato came out of the situation relatively unscathed and continues to stream to this day. Koko would also return from her suspension. However, due to persistent harassment from Chinese nationalists, she ended up graduating in July 2021. Yozora Mel. Yozora Mel's termination occurred on January 16, 2024, when Cover Corp posted a notice of termination due to an NDA violation. More specifically, how she was leaking information that she acquired from the company to third parties, and that it became difficult to continue managing and supporting her. This came to be a big shock to the community, as Mel was part of Hololive's first generation, meaning that, at the time, she had been a part of Hololive for over 5 years. There's a lack of information about her status post-termination, but it can be assumed that she either went indie or stopped streaming altogether. Mono Aloe. While Mono Aloe didn't experience an actual termination by Clover, on August 31, 2020, Clover announced that Aloe was having an early graduation just 2 weeks after her debut. While the official announcement said that, initially, she faced a 2-week suspension due to disclosure of confidential information by forgetting to delete her test stream that had her model in it, Aloe decided that she was not physically or mentally prepared to continue with her activities. With everything that was happening, from her accidental leak of her model, to fans and anti-fans discovering her previous life, to the relentless cyberbullying and even doxing attempts, it was, for anybody in her position, too much for her to handle. It's unclear whether she'll choose to come back or not, but given the things she went through, it's very unlikely that she'll do so. Hitomi Chris. Having her debut on June 3, 2018, Hitomi Chris was one of the earliest talents of Hololive's first generation. There is very little information about her online, as in the same month that she debuted, she ended up getting terminated on June 25th due to serious contract violations, making her the earliest termination in Hololive's history. There was a decent amount of speculation regarding Chris's termination. The main belief was that Chris's termination involved a third party. However, 2 different theories came up from this belief. The first theory was that Hitomi was the victim of a third-party involvement. Some digging by fans found that a user, I'll call him M, allegedly pretended to be a VTubing manager and offered Chris to cover the costs of streaming equipment for her, supposedly about 70,000 yen in exchange for compensating dating services, to which she accepted and won the audition. When he tried to collect his part of the deal, Chris threatened to call the authorities on him and ceased all interactions with him. What M ended up doing was a campaign of doxing and defaming Chris, posting her personal information online, as well as the conversations about the audition and the agreed-upon deal. This would lead to a very quick termination of Hitomi Chris and her identity as a whole. There isn't a true confirmed story about this anywhere. However, upon looking into M's old Twitter posts about the situation, as well as his bio flat out saying, "I am a party involved in the Hololive Hitomi Chris incident," there could be some supporting proof to these allegations. One particular screenshot shows a series of DMs for the official Hololive Twitter account themselves about an apparent broadcast that M was doing. From the top, it is an obstruction of business, so please stop the broadcast immediately. Also, please do not use the names Hololive or Hitomi Chris. We would appreciate it if you could delete not only the broadcast, but also tweets, websites, etc. that contain Hololive or Hitomi Chris. Thank you for your cooperation in deleting the tweets. Please be aware that if Hololive or Hitomi Chris are mentioned in the future in tweets, videos, broadcasts, etc. by M-san or related parties, we will have no choice but to consider legal action. Thank you for your understanding. The second theory about Chris's termination was that both parties were terrible people and had reasonable contributions to the termination. This theory comes from an archived upload of Chris's debut stream, where the description reads out a different series of events. Hitomi Chris spent about 700,000 yen on a man she knew previously, asking him for support and equipment in order to apply for Hololive. She passed the Hololive audition. It is said that she was then planning to debut as a different VTuber and use Hitomi Chris as a stepping stone. Chris and the man were involved both romantically and financially, and Chris, during a private stream, made a remark that she was by the man and also divulged internal affairs of Hololive. Upon hearing this, the man uploaded Chris's personal information. The man did not have sex with her. He only kissed her. At her strong insistence, she also initiated it and touched her body. Furthermore, the man said, "I want to cut ties and also stop my own VTuber project." Chris, however, demanded, "I don't want to meet, but continue to support me. If you don't, I'll go to the police." The man stated that he was afraid and obeyed. It is believed that Chris's claim of being raped and threatening to go to the police was a fabrication to extort money from the man. As a result of personal information being uploaded, the school announced, "The main school has no relation to this person." Hololive announced, "The company itself is not involved. However, considering the impact on other Hololive VTubers, we will terminate the contract with the cast." Hitomi Chris is the world's first instance of a VTuber whose contract was terminated. Her final broadcasts were only 1 time on YouTube and 4 times on Twitcasting. It is believed that the broadcast settings were not satisfactory. She couldn't fully portray her character, and Hololive's recruitment process was flawed. Overall, just a really messed up situation, regardless of whoever is correct.